Good evening, my fellow Liberians. My name is Simeon Freeman. I'm the political leader of the MPC, and I come to you via the Simeon Freeman Show. We are on Front Page Africa TV. We are on Spawn TV online. Via radio, we are on OKFM 99.5 and Capital FM 89.7. Next week, we will be adding Prime FM as well. But Prime FM will do a delay rebroadcast since their news time conflict with our broadcast time of 7 to 8 p.m. So again, my name is Simeon Freeman, and I'm coming to you live via the Simeon Freeman Show. We are relayed on OKFM 99.5, Capital FM 89.7. So if you're in Radio Land, you can follow us via those pages. You can also catch us on Front Page Africa TV and Spawn FM TV. Instead of just standing in a marketplace and yelling and shouting and blaming other people for all of Liberia's problems, we in the MPC have adopted a different approach. And that approach is to come to you and discuss the issues and discuss the solutions so that as Liberians, we are armed with what is needed to transform our country. In America and other economies, people desiring to be governors, representatives, senators, state legislators come up with their plan of action. They say what the challenges are, and they also discuss how they're going to transform. And the voters have an opportunity to discuss two mindsets or four mindsets and say, Simeon Freeman wants to do this. What does John Brown want to do? So that's the culture we want to encourage in Liberia. And in order to encourage the culture, we have to lead the way. So we'll come to you Monday and Wednesday, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., Monday and Wednesday on multiple networks. We now have permanent numbers that you can store in your phone and call us on those numbers whenever you want. So on this show, whenever the show is on, you can call us on. Please take down the numbers. I'll call it a few times. And by Monday, we'll have our WhatsApp line back up. There were some glitches along the road. So we'll have our WhatsApp line restored by then. But take our local number. So local 70 00 754. But you cannot call now until we open the line at about 7:30. Then we will hook up our co-host. We're sorry about that. That was a small break in transmission. So like we said, we will redial the numbers, and then you can call us at 7:30 when we open the line. So the numbers are 0770 000 754. If you want to call us on MTM or Lone Star, you can call us on 0555 000 754. So I'll read the numbers back to you: 0770 000 754. On MTM, you can call on 0555 000 754. Tonight, the topic is interesting as always. We're discussing education. Education in Liberia. So, look, when we complete this discussion, you will find out that, look, all of the time we spend yelling in the marketplace, shouting, we actually have critical issues that we ought to be looking at as a people. But we don't. We are swayed by one politician insulting another politician, one politician talking anyhow to another politician, and those are the things we celebrate. Meanwhile, we have major fundamental economic issues, we have major fundamental educational issues, and it's so sad, you know, and I will read the numbers to you tonight. It's so deep, and we're not even discussing those things. People desirous of being president go from one radio station to the next, basically just attacking. Now, I'm encouraging my colleague, if we have to change the system, then we have to be able to change it with a demonstrated understanding of the problem and clear solutions on the way forward. Tonight, we're discussing education. So we want to look at some issues surrounding education in Liberia, in our country. Liberia as compared to sub-Saharan Africa. So let's look at some of the numbers in terms of education. So the total number of students as of 2018 enrolled in Liberia was 992,000. You can take some notes because this is a very good education for you to appreciate what's happening in our country. So the total number of enrolled students enrolled in school, student population, is 692,000. Again, I repeat, this is as of 2018. Not much has happened since 2018 anyway, but these are the numbers. Of this, and that's the total number of students in primary and secondary schools across Liberia, 922,000. Of this 922,000, 694,000 or 75% are enrolled in primary school. I go over that number. 694,000 of the 922,000, which is about 75%, are enrolled in primary school. Now, if you look at ages 15 to 24 in Liberia, you have ages 15 to 24, so I'll just take my time with the numbers because I want to make sure I give you the right thing. So you have 694,000 in primary. In a lower secondary, you have 143,000. In upper secondary, you have 85,000. Now, between the ages 15 to 24 educational attainment, you have the number of students secondary were incomplete that did not finish secondary school. Of that number is 42%. So by 2018, 42% of students in Liberia had not completed high school. The number of students that completed secondary school was 4%. Post-secondary, 3%. People with no education in Liberia, 12%. The number of people that do not complete primary school, 37%. The number of people that completes primary, 2%. If you're out there in Radio Land, I'll go over these numbers. They're very scary. They're scary for the future of our country and the forward march of our country in terms of the number of people that did not complete secondary school. I'll give you these numbers again. They're very scary, and they will constitute the basis for our discussion. And what we will do, We will look at the UN Millennium Goals for Education. We will look at Liberia compared with other countries in sub-Saharan Africa. We will look at Liberia compared to other low-income countries around the world. It's scary, very scary. I'll give you the numbers again. 922,000 students enrolled in school by 2018. 922,000 enrolled in school by 2018. Of that number, 694,000 are in primary schools. Lower primary, 143,000. Upper primary, that's between 10th to 11th to 12th grade. Upper secondary, that's 85,000. So we will go to the transition rate. You notice the numbers of students enrolled in primary, 694,000. In lower primary, 143,000. In upper primary, 85,000. So you notice there's a significant drop as the students transition. So instead of us having an increase, there is a significant drop. And we'll discuss some of those issues tonight. But let's look at another thing. Educational attainment of the youth. Our pepper bush, the most important sector of our society. Ages 15 to 24. Secondary incomplete, meaning the number of people that don't complete secondary education in Liberia is 42%. The number that completes secondary education, only 4%. The number of people that are admitted to post-secondary, 3%. The people that drop out of primary education, 37%. The people that complete primary, only 2%. People with no education, 12%. That is scary. If it is not scary to you, then I don't know what else is scary. This is really scary. I will give you additional stats before we get into the details of the basic discussion. If you're just joining the show, I want to pause for a moment and thank those who have, as a result of this show, shown up at the MPC party office, which is right on the airfield. When you're coming from the Spriggs airfield, you pass the Sharks Junction, it's right there, painted green on the left. If you're coming from the airfield Neuro, as soon as you turn to go towards Vamoma, it's the second fence on the left, and it's painted green with a movement for progressive change on it. Hundreds and hundreds of you have shown up, expressing your desire. A lot of you have joined, and I want to say thank you for that. We're very, very much excited. If you're just joining the show, if you like it, you can share it. We encourage that. Share the show so that a lot more people can follow the show. And if you're following us via radio and other online pages, my name is Simeon Freeman, and I'm from the MPC. I'm the political leader. I'm desirous of being president of Liberia in 2023, and instead of sitting down and insulting, I'm discussing the issues that matter, the things that I'm going to do, the policy focus of the incoming government, and I'm discussing with you the issues that matter tonight. Let's look at some very important percentages that we probably may not know about. The percentage of children of primary school age, 6 to 11, male constitutes 62%, female is unknown. In the urban areas, the number of children out of school, the percentage of children of primary school age. This is numbers that are out of school. The number of male out of school, total is 62%, sorry, I said in school, but it's out of school. The percentage of primary school age students that are out of school, ages 6 to 11. 62% of the children are out of school, ages 6 to 11. That's for male, female unknown. But let's come to the urban areas. In the urban area, 51% of the children are out of school. In the rural area, 73% of the children are out of school. Now, let's come to the economics of it. When you look at the economics of it, those who have money or the richest, only 38% of the children are out of school. Those who don't have any money, 78% of the children are out of school. This is scary. This is scary. Now let's come to secondary school students, ages 12 to 17 that are out of school. The male that are out of school are 20%, female out of secondary school, what we call high school, 25%. Now let's come to the urban. In the urban area, 17% of the students are out of secondary school, and in the rural is even higher, 32%. Those who have money, only 11% of the children are out of school. Whereas the poorest people, 40% of the children are out of school. This is scary. Now let's look at some transition. Let's look at some transitions. This is also very scary. If you look at these transitions, you will see that while our gross intake at the primary level is high, 922,000 is high, so that's about 115%. Now, you have a gross enrollment of 98%, male and female, so men, that's 98%, female, 90%. The net enrollment, male and female, meaning during the transition. So even though you have high enrollment, but as the transition from one class to the next, what happens? You notice there's a significant drop. 39% for men, 36% for women. Completion rates. You have a completion rate of male and female, you have 64% and 54%. 54% for men, for women, and 64% for men. Now, it's another very important data I need to bring you. Literacy rate among youth and adult population. The male ages 15 to 24, 63%. Female, 37%. Liberia, where you have ages 15 plus, 61%, and so 61% for men and 27% for women. But let's compare that number with other African countries. Other low-income countries. Why between 15 to 24%, Liberia, male, we have 63%, between the ages 15 to 24, while for men in Liberia, in terms of literacy, we have 63%. Other low-income countries, for men, is actually 79%. In other low-income countries, while in Liberia we have 37% literacy rate, in other low-income countries is 75% for women. I go over those numbers. In Liberia, literacy rate among youth and adult population is 63% for men and 37% for women. But if you compare those numbers to other African countries, other low-income countries like Liberia, you have for men 79% and for women 75%. Now for 15 years and above, you have 71% for men and 51% for women. If this doesn't scare you as a policy maker, then I don't know what else scares you. These are very scary numbers. That we have a number of people enroll in school, and at the time of graduation, that number drops by more than 50%. It's scary. It means the number of people that set up for university are nominal. And that's why I just read the totals to you. The percentages are extremely low. Now let's look at some other issues outside of these numbers. So we're looking at tonight, we're comparing the total spend on education in sub-Saharan Africa. We'll go back to opening up those numbers and discussing with you some of the core issues. But I want to look at what other people are doing in sub-Saharan Africa. We'll look at what percentage of Sierra Leone's budget is spent on education. And we'll look at what percentage of our budget is spent on education, and we'll take the sub-Saharan average. So let's look at something. By 2012, Liberia spent 1.77% of our national budget on education. But by 2012, the sub-Saharan Africa average was 3.52%. I go over that. We spent 1.77%, which is a total of our national budget. We spend 1.77% total of our national budget on education. But the sub-Saharan Africa average, meaning they collated all of what different countries in sub-Saharan Africa, what they're spending, and they found out Liberia was far below that. By 2012, sub-Saharan Africa total was 3.521%, but Liberia was spending 1.77. Now let's go to another period. By 2013, the sub-Saharan Africa total was 3.69%, but Liberia in 2013 spent 1.735%. So notice the average, even though that average of sub-Saharan Africa is far below the UN average, which we'll come to. I don't want to confuse you with all of the numbers because I want you to take down. This is a learning curve, so we can understand the problems. So the sub-Saharan Africa total is 3.5% as of 2013. But in Liberia, we're spending 1.75%. Now let's come to 2017. 2017, our expenditure on education grew to 2.761% of the budget. But similarly, in 2017, sub-Saharan Africa total rose up to 3.79%. So while the rest of Africa, the average was spending 3.79%, Liberia was spending 2.761%. Let's come to current. Sub-Saharan Africa current, as of 2019, the average was 3.535%. Liberia, Sub-Saharan Africa, our total spend was 2.27% of the national budget. As of 2020, we spent 2.309% of the national budget on education, in spite of these major challenges. But let me compare us with some other countries in West Africa. Let me look at a few countries in West Africa. Burkina Faso spent 5.8% of our national budget on education. Cape Verde spent 4.7% on education. I'm picking up West African countries only. Cote d'Ivoire spends 3.7% on education. The Gambia spends 2.9%. Ghana, 4%. Liberia, as of 2019, like we read, we spend 2.3% of our budget on education. Let's look at other people in West Africa. Let's look at Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone spent 7.4% of our national budget on education. Sierra Leone spends the highest on education in West Africa. Interesting, isn't it? Now, we'll go further. We'll go back to those stacks that we started to discuss. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, in Radio Land and via the internet, following this show, do you see what we miss? The core issues we miss because politicians are too busy insulting each other and criticizing each other the wrong way. This is the way to criticize. We want to we discuss the numbers, the issues, and proffer clear solutions on the way we want to change our educational infrastructure. Because we just started tonight, this whole week or so, a month, we'll be running a series on education. These numbers are so scary. And all politicians do is they criticize each other and blame the person in power when in fact the issue is a systemic problem. That's why I went as far back as 2012 to bring it to current. So you can see consistently and over a long period, there has been a significant neglect for education in Liberia. And the numbers are scary. If you compare our literacy rate with other people in sub-Saharan Africa, we are zero. We don't compare. Yet, even with the rate at which people drop out of education, we are not even pumping money into education like we should. If you're spending 2.7% of your national budget on education, and then you have the wrong people managing education at the Ministry of Education, you're going to have a total disaster. That's what you're going to have. And that's why we're not seeing the level of progression and progress in our education infrastructure. Why? Basically because we're not investing like we should in education. So let's go to some of the issues. Why, you are asking, do we have enrollment at 922,000? Enrollment at 922,000, but then completion is so low. Now, the numbers, I will read them again, they're very scary, then we can discuss them. We said 964% of our students are enrolled in primary school. Lower secondary, we said 143,000. Upper secondary, we said 85,000. We also said 42% of our students do not complete secondary school. They drop out, 42%. That's massively high. We also say primary school. The number of students that do not complete primary school is 37%. That is also very high. We also said the number of students that complete secondary school, only 4% of the population. The number of students that do post-secondary, only 3%. The people with no education, 12%. The people that complete primary school, only 2%. So you can see the numbers as they go up. You can see that we are so far behind. We went further and we read to you the numbers comparing us to sub-Saharan Africa. But let's give you additional numbers on that note in terms of the comparison. Here you will see that where Liberia stands in comparison to other low and middle income countries in access to education, measured as the primary school net enrollment rate and youth literacy compared to other countries, Liberia ranks at 0 percentile in access to education and at 3% in learning. If you look at another graph they have here, the number of women that are literate in Liberia is just 37% between the ages 15 to 24. The number of men in terms of literacy is 63, thus giving us a literacy rate of about 49%. But let's compare that to other low-income countries. Other low-income countries, men 79%, women 75%. And these are truly very scary figures. Now let's look at why people drop out of high school a lot in the rural areas, as we came to see, and in the urban, as we came to see in the other numbers. We look at the other numbers that say in the urban area and the rural. So in the rural areas, the drop out of primary school is 73%, and in the urban is 51%. Now, among poor and rich, in the urban, why do you have that high number? They discuss the issue of poverty. The poorest people, 78% of their students drop out of school. Those that have money, only 38%. But even 38% is very high drop out of school. Now, what are some of the challenges in rural? Mr. Kohler, you can send me the link now so I can put you on. Those that are just joining us, my name is Simeon Freeman, and I'm the political leader of the MPC. The Simeon Freeman Show is all about discussing Liberia's challenges and discussing the solutions. Our style and desire to be president is not to stand in the marketplace and just insult and criticize. Our style and desire is to bring to you the issues that matter and discuss the issues, proffer solutions, so that we as a people can understand the challenges and exactly the MPC government is going to do when you make us president of this nation. So our style is totally different. Mr. Kohler, you didn't add it, so just wait. It's going to come up to you in no time. So you didn't add it. So all that has to happen. Mr. Kohler, you don't have to send another link. I've added you already. So all that has to happen under the circumstances. I'll just read the numbers back to you before I go to the solution part. Okay, Mr. Kohler, can you hear me? Let me just change the connection quickly so I can have you admitted. Mr. Kohler, just 1 minute if you're hearing me. I'm not, because I need to put my ear jack on. So just bear with me. Good. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you clear.
Good. Am I clear on radio?
Yeah.
Good. So callers that want to participate, I will still be proffering the information, but you can call us on 0770 000 754. That's on Orange. Or you can call us on Lone Star 0555 000 754. We will activate our WhatsApp line for those listening in the diaspora that would like to participate. That line will be activated by next Monday, which is our next show. So we're coming to you via the Simeon Freeman Show on OKFM 99.5, Capital FM 89.7, Front Page Africa TV online, Spoon FM TV online. You can also follow us on the Simeon Freeman Show. You can share this show if you like it. If you want to participate, if you want to be a part of the party, you can be a part of us. We encourage you to be a part of us. We are located on the FE, right around the Sharks Junction. You can meet us, and of course, the party officials will be there to welcome you any day. Thank you for following us. So the show continues. We're discussing education tonight, and we've been given the statistics. Now we're coming to look at why do we have those high enrollment but high dropout. So we want to start from the rural. Let's deal with the rural first. Mr. Cole, as soon as you get a call, let me know.
Okay.
Good. So tonight, like we said, why do we have such a high enrollment and such a high dropout? Let's take the numbers. Let's look at the structure of education in rural. You have a government school in, say, Bonkonima, for example. So somewhere around Bonkonima, you have a government school. And that government school probably starts to 6th grade or 3rd grade. So I probably live in a village 1 hour behind Bonkonima. So I come to Bonkonima town to go to school. Or I stay in my village and get up early in the morning to walk to the school. When I complete 6th grade, which is the nearest government school, the other government school is probably situated in Totota. But I don't have anybody in Totota. I don't know anybody in Totota. So, but if, and also I help my people on the farm. So at 6th grade, after 6th grade, I cannot go to Totota, where the nearest government school is, which is from 7th to 9th grade. That means I have to stay back in my village, help my parents make farm. So you find out that in rural, you have a large number of the people drop out of high school, out of primary school in rural because of those kinds of situations. The nearest government school is not too close enough, and the way it is done by a certain level of urbancy. So you're never going to find a high school or junior high school in Bonkonima. You're going to find it around Totota, and probably you're never even going to find it in Salala. So you find it in Totota. So what happens? The guy that wants to go to school, those of you that know that area, know the topography of that area in Bon County, the guy has to leave his village. He has to leave assisting his parents and go to school in rural. Go to school in somewhat urban. Totota is slightly more urban. So if I want to do high school, then I need to leave from Totota and move to Banga. Now, if my parents need me at the farm as well, if I was assisting as a big child, if I'm around 15 or so, then I have a problem with relocation because the nearest school. So 2 factors. Factor number 1 is the nearest school, that the next available school that has the higher level of classes is not within the vicinity of the school I previously attended to acquire 6th grade certification. Problem number 1. Problem number 2, even in rural, financial. If the parents have to go to the farm, you are the guy helping the parents on the farm, and the parents don't have the resources, you are helping, you go to school, and then what happened? Now during the farming season, that coincides with the educational season or the learning season, you have to decide which comes first. You obviously have to eat. So you go and help the family on the farm, which boils down to financial reasons in rural. We're dealing with rural, then we're going to kind of come to urban. Let's take another thing in rural. I'm a female. Why do we have the numbers for female high? I'm a young female. I'm in rural. I've gotten to 12. I've gotten to 15 years old. I've gone into the guerrilla bush, or I'm going to take our time to go into the guerrilla bush during that period, because then I can't be going to school and go into the society. We say, you know, that I'm calling the rural name, but it's actually the Sandy Society. So I cannot join the society and then and then also go to school. So that is a factor for women. And then I reach 15. As part of the training, I also now need to have a man. In no time I'm pregnant, then I cannot continue the school. So you see the multiple factors that affect enrollment, and that's why Liberia keeps falling behind. So the way we've done the schools, the way we've structured our schools in rural, when I'm president, we will look at that, and that's some of the discussion that we basically having tonight in terms of suggesting how we're going to go about this. Now, let's go back to the numbers again. If you're just joining us, my name is Simeon Freeman, and you can call us on 0770 000-754, or you may also call us on 0555 000-754. Call us to participate. My co-host will put you through, and we can have an engaging discussion. So in the meantime, we'll go back to the numbers. We're coming to you live via OKFM 99.5, Capital FM 89.7, Front Page Africa TV, and Spoon FM TV online. Let's go back to the numbers quickly, because the topic tonight is very interesting. In the urban, why do you have such a huge dropout? Of course, the first thing in the urban is money. Money, money, money. And the same reason in rural. So let's take it that you live, say, in Peace Island, for example. And let's take it that the nearest school to Peace Island, let's take it that is a 6th grade or junior high school. So you went through the school, you were successful. We're talking about those people who are successful. Some of the people that drop off for unsuccessful reasons are for other reasons. So we're going to deal with that. So you graduate. The nearest high school is probably situated on the Oro. Or let's say it's not on the Oro, it's beyond the Oro. Now, too many things involved. One, cost of transportation involved. Two, cost of lunch involved. You started a school on the Oro, but you could not continue because of financial reasons. That's from the male side of things. We'll come to the female side of things. Let's take the male side of things again. You went to the school a few times. Of course, you must have failed a few times, and so you decided you wanted to drop out of school. The other thing, purely economic reasons. You are in town, the father's salary cannot take him home because he's underemployed. That's another discussion we have about underemployment. So what do? You have to make a sacrifice for the other children. We came from homes in which sacrifices were made. Sacrifices had to be made because there was not enough money to send everybody to school. So in many of the situations, if your father has got 5 children, 6 children, and the guy makes $100, you have to eat daily, you have to sacrifice. If you're not so smart, you can't go to school. The smart one goes to school. So all of those things affect the number of people that are in school on any given day. Now let's take the female side of things, several reasons. You came to Monrovia to hustle, you still want to go to school, but things are tight. You can't pay the rent, rent has risen, and so you have to drop out of school. The other one is pregnancy, unwanted pregnancy. You got pregnant in advance, and so you cannot continue the school because now you've become a mother. So that becomes a serious challenge. And then, of course, the person you had the child by fell out of school, is not working. He's probably a student or he's a runaway dad. We have a lot of them here. And so what happens? You cannot continue school. So you see, these are the things that are dropping our numbers significantly. So economics influences it. So you see, those of the poorest people, 78% drop out of school in the low-income belt. So those who have money, 38% drop out of school. At that rate now, the child just want to drop out of school because the child is playing. So in the urban and rural, let's come to urban and rural in terms of people that drop out of school. You have 73%, all right, in the rural, and you have 51% in the urban. And that's why you saw me going into those numbers about people that drop out of school. So when you have these kinds of situations, then what do you do as a government? What do you do
as a government? What should a serious president do about this kind of situation? Should the president sit down and do nothing? No. So these are some of the things we will do differently as president. First thing we'll do is we will create regions, educational regions. So we create regions for education. So we take, for example, Bapolu, Cape Man, Bombing, and create one educational region. So that region, we can call it Region 1 for education. We take another region. So we'll probably take Bong County, depending on the size. We take Nimba, Lofa, we take Nimba, Bong, and Lofa and place it in one region, but it depends. We have to look at all those numbers, but we at least group them based on population centers. If a county is too big, that could be a region of its own. We will have private, so education will be publicly funded but privately run. Some of the biggest things we've seen with education too, if I open that other star of the data, of the total number of teachers teaching our school, 40% of the teachers teaching high school themselves do not have a high school certification. That is crazy. That is very scary. It challenges the whole education system. You can even see in Liberia, bachelors teaching bachelors, masters teaching masters is never heard of. It's never heard of. Never heard of in other countries. But in our part of the world, the master's degree holder teaches the master's degree, but that's another part of the discussion. That's why we're running this. I want to stay with this and proffer the solution. So we're going to have education to be publicly funded but privately run. What do I mean by that? So we're going to create these regions. These regions, what we will do is the government schools in those regions. We can't touch private school, they're not for us, but the government schools in those regions will be given to a private company to run. So a meaning teachers, a meaning remuneration for teachers, types of things that we need. We have a regulatory authority and not necessarily a ministry of information. So we're going to have a small regulatory authority that will be able to regulate education by coming up with policy guidelines instead of this behemoth called a Ministry of Education. And instead of having a minister, we have a chief executive officer for that regulatory agency that will be restricted in terms of employees or number of employees they can have, because the job will be strictly policy and regulation. We have the private schools, the private infrastructure run education. So those private infrastructure that will be running education, the question now is, how do they get funded? Right now, we're spending about 2% of our national budget on education. Why? Because we have not expanded our revenue base, and we've discussed revenue-based expansion on some of our previous shows. So if you're just following, you may probably need to take the time to do that. Mr. Kohler is doing a very good job. He breaks up the videos now, so it makes it easier for you to listen to a piece, listen to another piece. Some of them are 6 minutes, some of them are 8 minutes, which is short enough for you to listen to in bits and pieces instead of this whole running a full spectrum of 1 hour. So when we have these institutions, what are we going to do? We're going to set the standards. And the standards we're going to set is, one, we're going to say, you must have computer in school. We set the standard. We're going to say, for example, you cannot use this blackboard that we're using with duster. We're going to set a regulation that says the number of students in school should be, say, 30 or 40. Maybe we'll start with 40 because of the capacity, because of the available classes. So those are the kinds of regulations that the regulatory infrastructure will set for the private institutions that will be running education. How do they get funded? They get funded through special payments from government. So how government is going to pay them? We agree that, look, every primary student, for example, let's say we say from grades 1 to grade 6 is, say, $200 per year. So we will validate leveraging technology, the number of students, we can use a biometric system, so the issue of student padding is not going to be possible. So we will leverage technology through an electronic means, through even a student car registration that will be electronically listed, so we know how many students in each region, and if there is a dropout, we'll know and find out why there's a dropout. So when we should have done that, if we say $200 is the price from 1 to 6th grade, or we say from 1 to 3rd grade, $200, the government of Liberia will pay each of those private institutions, and they will then go on to run the educational infrastructure using the prescribed guidelines and standards. If you cannot do it, we have clear basis for penalties. So what would then happen is we will now set thresholds. So the government of Liberia, instead of running education, now would have hired private managers to run it, and the government of Liberia can provide new educational facilities per region. So it becomes a part of the national development goal. Listing some of the things I've listed. If there is, let's say there are, say, 500 villages around the main town, Bonkonima, and the 500 villages have a population of, say, 10,000 people, then we build a secondary school or high school, depending on what the need would be in that part of the area. That will, in every respect, dissolve the challenge of, I come from Bonkonima, the school there starts to 6th grade. And because it starts to 6th grade, now what do I have to do? After 6th grade, I need to go to Totota. I know nobody in Totota. I'm assisting my people on the farm. That issue becomes silent. So even in the rural parts, we'll be able to provide education to people that should be educated and step up our educational basis. Now, how do we fund that further? We'll come up with something called National Education Tax, NET. So the National Education Tax, which will probably be about 1% or 2% of your salary, from the corporate side, it could probably will drop corporate income tax significantly, and we can introduce this tax as a result, the National Education Tax. So corporations can probably pay about 1% or 2% of the gross turnover, and that's precisely how we intend to deal with this challenge of education. Now, what then is going to happen? There will be competition between these regions. So the regions will be called specific names, though. They will be called specific names. But these regions, this is how they're going to tackle education in many respects using the publicly funded, privately run model, so that it is privately run and we can account for some of the outcomes in school. Right now, the outcomes in school are extremely terrible. A lot can be done even with existing resources, but the capacity of the people managing education in our country, at the Ministry of Education, you just have to clear up that whole thing and replace it with something more capable. Other than that, you're going to have this outcome of disaster in terms of the numbers that I've read to you. But having said that, if we use this methodology, it changes everything for us. Before I come to that change, I will read back to you the numbers, just in case you want to participate. So the numbers tonight are 0770 000 754 or 0555 000754. So you can store these numbers. These are the numbers on which you can call us whenever to participate on this show. We want to thank you for those listening and following us on Facebook from the comfort of wherever you are, and those listening to us via radio, OKFM and Capital FM. We just want to thank you, and we want to thank the numerous people that have shown up to be a part of the party. We encourage you to do the same. Now let's go back to our numbers. So in stepping up these numbers, the other one is economic, and that's why you heard me say job, job, job. Our goal is to create jobs, because if you don't have jobs, how are you going to get people to go to school? Who's going to pay the tuition? Who's going to pay the taxation? So yes, people will still have a choice of sending their children to private school, but people that cannot send their children to private school will definitely need a government school. And a government school needs to be of standard. I'll read the numbers tonight again before we just about terminating the show in the next 5 minutes. But I'll give you these tags again so they can stay with you. Policy makers that are listening to the show, it's a good thing that concrete steps be taken to at least equate us to the sub-Saharan averages. If Sierra Leone can spend 7.9% of our national budget on education, why can't we do the same? We're spending 2.3%, 2.7% of our national budget on education. This is scary. And if we don't change that trend, not much will happen. Tonight we taught you that 922,000 students are enrolled in school across Liberia. And this is as far back as 2018. We also told you that of this number, 694,000 are enrolled in primary schools and 143,000 enrolled in secondary school and 85,000 in upper secondary. We also told you that the number of people that do not complete secondary school, 42% of that number. We also told you that those who complete, only 4%. We also told you 3% go on to post-secondary. Those with no education, 12%. Those who drop out of primary school, 37%. Those who complete primary school, only 2%. And the ages for primary is 6 to 11 years. Some of them are much older, but the official ages for secondary is 12 to 14. And upper secondary, 15 to 17. So by 17, you should be out of high school, even though people are out of high school 18, 20, 21, 22. Sometimes some people drop out for multiple reasons. Sometimes no money. Sometimes they have to hustle. Sometimes they have to feed. Sometimes they have to run pen. The issues are numerous. I went through some of those issues during my early days. My mother didn't have it. And so I had to drop out of school at a point. I went back to school again. And so in every respect, I understand that. And that's why my desire to be president means that I have to change those issues. I have to change the situation. So tonight, I hope we've been helpful in providing some detailed education, a lot of details on education for you, things you probably didn't know. So when we sit down, all we do is focus on people being critical of each other, and we say, Paku, the man strong, and those kinds of things. In every respect, we brought to you the numbers. So policy makers, decision makers, we brought to you the numbers. The numbers are very scary. And if we do not take urgent steps, urgent actions to ensure that our people are educated, how are we going to develop the future of the country? When we have 12% of our population have no education, you have 37% of your population do not complete secondary school, you have 37% do not complete primary, another 42% do not complete secondary. Post-secondary, you have a completion rate of 3%. That is extremely scary. When we get on to university, you will also see how bad the numbers are. So tonight, if you've been following, my name is Simeon Freeman, political leader, MPC, and we've been coming to you on via OKFM 99.5, Capital FM 89.7, Front Page Africa TV, Spoon TV online, and via the Simeon Freeman Show. We're adding additional networks onto this program by next week. So that would, in many respects, expand our coverage. If you didn't have the time to call, you can call us next week. We'll be here. And it's been an amazing time interacting with you and sharing the detailed knowledge that you need to have about the challenges of our country and the transformations that will be done when we are elected president. From my end, I want to say bye and